Greetings and salutations, folks. I hope everyone is doing well and welcome to today's upload. Guys, it is Saturday once again. That only means one thing. Saturday Nightmares, live from upstate New York. That is our live stream. It's at 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a lot of fun. Friendships have been forged there in the community section. Sharing experiences, theories. It is unlike any other live stream in the paranormal or cryptid community on YouTube right now. I can guarantee you that. 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, I have a brand new, amazing interview that I just did with a fella, military in Alaska and Fort Campbell, experiences that are just absolutely terrifying. Before we get into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons. Narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click that bell icon. And folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into today's upload, shall we? All right, everyone. So today I have a subscriber who, honestly, he and I have been playing catch up. I wanted to talk to him and he wanted to talk to me back when my dad was in the hospital. And we've finally had the opportunity where both of us had some spare time and we could get together. We're going to refer to him as Marv. Marv, how are you tonight?
Good. How about yourself, Jeff?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, and thank you for staying diligent and waiting patiently for this interview, because I know, just talking to you for briefly, it's pretty fascinating. There's a couple of areas in this that has piqued my curiosity. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you, and you start wherever you want to. Okay, my friend?
Alrighty, boss. Well, God, I'm Marv. I grew up in Ohio. So my first experience, I don't want to call it a Dogman or a Bigfoot, but I grew up on a farm, and we had hogs, we had cows, chickens, most farmyard animals, and there was just some days that we'd go out. It wouldn't happen like every week, but it happened like every other month or so. But there are some days that we would just go out to our hog pen and there would be a couple missing hogs and there'd be blood. It just looks like the hog just got the hell beat out of it. And then there'd be, like I said, blood everywhere. There'd be drag marks leading into the woods. And me being 13, 14, I'm not going to go following it into the woods. Then at night, whenever we'd go back there to like feed and everything, sometimes I would hear a guttural deep growl that like shake you to your core. And I never saw it growing up.
Right.
I never saw it, but I heard growls. I would see sign whenever I'd go in the woods to go deer hunt. Only time I would go in the woods would be either with my brother or armed.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now, this was your family's farm. What would be, when coming outside, finding your fence kind of tipped, messed around with, and a hog disappearing. That's obviously on a small farm or any farm, a loss of livestock is costly. What would your dad kind of say about it? Like, did he have any speculation on anything, or?
He thought it was a black bear.
Okay.
But I'm not. I mean, I'm pretty well versed with the wildlife in Ohio, but my whole life growing up here, besides when I turned 18, joined the military, I have never seen a black bear. I've seen plenty of coyotes, fox, coy dogs, stuff like that, but I've never seen a black bear. He always thought it'd be a black bear.
Yeah, I don't see a black bear dragging a hog either.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible, but it's just the way you described it to me, with the fence knocked in, and black bear have claws for digging, not attacking. I mean, they can attack, but it's just, I wanted to see what he thought.
I mean, yeah, that he would think it'd be a black bear, and back then, the only thing that I knew, I mean, I'm sure there was YouTube, but I was a farm kid. I didn't have a smartphone until I joined the Army. But I just thought it was just, a black bear.
Right.
Like you said, I would never thought it would be a Bigfoot or a Dogman or what have you, whatever lurks in these Ohio woods,
Yeah. And Ohio is rich with, Bigfoot and Dogman lore and sightings. I didn't realize how rich it would be either, I mean, but it's technically a southern state, really. The southern half of it is,
Yep.
So, all right. So after that, you joined the military, or how do you want to go about that?
Yeah, I joined the Army about 6-7 months after I turned 18. I was tired of working blue collar, and I always wanted to join the Army when I was a kid, so I got in touch with a recruiter, did all the Army nonsense, went to Fort Benning for basic. I was infantry, if anybody's wondering. And my first duty station was Alaska, Fort Wainwright. And the training areas that we would go to, Fort Greely is the big one that we used to go to. And I've seen sign on tree, scratch marks, but that could 100% be from a grizzly bear. Well, not 100%, 50-50.
Right.
It'd be from a grizzly bear or Dogman or something, but they were 10, 12 foot up in the air and just all the way down. There saw paw prints and footprints and everything. I was standing watch one night, and I had they're called PSQ 20s. I had 20 alphas. They were the older ones.
Night vision?
Yeah, night vision.
Yep.
And I could put on thermal inlays. So, it could be night vision, but if something was hot out there, you could switch it to white hot or black hot. And I liked white hot just because that's what worked with me. And way out there, I want to say, oh, man, it was on the side of a mountain. It was walking up it. But even walking up this mountain, I want to say a click, 1,000 meters. This thing walking up the mountain, it looked massive. I can't give you a straight answer of what it was because I couldn't specifically get eyes on it. I couldn't get any magnified optic on it.
Right.
Because it was nighttime,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, when you said you were doing training and such, and you saw the trees, obviously you were with other personnel. Did anyone say anything? Did you all kind of it's a bear, or at that point too, or?
Yeah. So there was this old salty E6. I'm gonna call him Staff Sergeant Sausage or Sergeant Sausage.
Okay.
But he was he's been stationed up there for a while. He retired out of there, if I remember correctly. But I showed it to him. He's like, yeah, there's weird stuff that you'll see. I was like, well, is that from a bear? He's like, I don't know. You tell me. I was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, what else is out here in the world besides just grizzlies?
Right.
And he's like, I don't know. You're going to have to tell me, Marv. I was like, oh. And then as we kept on training, I kept on seeing different signs and stuff like that. And every time he'd just walk up to me and was, oh, you found another one. I was like, what do you mean? You know?
And you were...
Like,
I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
And like he was like gatekeeping information. Like he knew something was out there, but he wouldn't tell me.
Right. And at that point, like you said, you didn't have a smartphone until you joined the military. So, I mean, did you hadn't heard of Dogman? Obviously, people know what Bigfoot is, like just because of, the lore of Bigfoot. But, you weren't even thinking anything other than that. So, when he's saying, what else is there? Your head's kind of messed up, probably.
Yeah, I was really confused. I was like, I don't know. And he would always say that. There's just, what could it be? What do you think it is? And every time I'd say a grizzly, I don't know if he was messing with me or if he was actually being for real. But like, it could be something else. Like, tell me, please.
Right. And how was his body language? Just like
just relaxed. He's smoking a cigarette at the time. He was a hillbilly from the mountains of Tennessee, so had that deep Southern drawl with him. Yeah. You tell me. I'm like, all right, bud. Well, I don't know what to tell you because I think it's from a grizzly bear, but you obviously know something else. And he was a big game hunter. He'd go hunting like every weekend and stuff like that.
Up there?
Yeah, up there.
Okay.
Up in Denali and stuff like that. So I'm sure he's seen something, and he just wouldn't say to keep us little scared privates from freaking out and stuff,
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, like the Wainwright is just south of the Arctic Circle National Park or whatever it's called up there.
Yes, I believe it is. Yep.
So
I know Denali National Park is I think it was 2 to 3 hours away from Wainwright.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy though. He's almost kind of toying with you, trying to see what you might have known. That's how it seemed to me. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was a pretty cool guy when he wasn't being a asshat,
Yeah.
And so that was when I was my younger days in the Army. Then the same duty station, Fort Wainwright, we deployed to Iraq in 2020, right before, well, not right before, before COVID became a thing. And so we got quarantined and everything when we got back stateside after our deployment. And I mean, that sucked, but afterwards we got leave.
Right.
So me and my then squad leader, Barrett, we loaded up in my pickup truck, and it was caribou season, thankfully. And we went to a place and we rented some quads, and we just went caribou hunting. And then when we were out there walking around, there was this one mountain or hill, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it a mountain because it's a freaking mountain. But we went up this mountain, then on the other side of the mountain, you could see something walking again. And then it turned towards us, and then it started walking down in the valley. But this valley, the mountains were so far spread apart that we lost him as soon as he went into the foliage and everything, because that shrub up there is just so thick, and it would take something massive just to move through that without any struggle.
Right.
So we were like, okay, that's weird. So we moved on to the next mountain, and we were like, hey, let's set up shop here for the night. Let's camp, make some dinner and stuff. And I don't know what it was, what was walking around our campsite, but it was just it was out of breath, but it was a calm, deep breath at the same time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was inhaling, trying to smell everything. It didn't smell like it didn't sound like a bear, because I had encounters with grizzly bears, but it didn't sound like that.
Okay.
And it was like, we had coolers, you know, because we had four-wheelers, so we were living the fancy life, camping for the couple days that we were out there hunting. And we had coolers, and they were ratchet strapped on the back of the quads. And I heard, like, it fucking groan. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good.
But I heard it, like, groan, and then I heard mine or his four-wheeler tip over. We were in the tent, and we were just posted up, pointing at the freaking where the noise was coming from with our rifles. And it sounded like the four-wheeler tipped over, and then I heard, like, the snap of the bungee cord. Then it just sounded like it was banging the cooler on the ground. And then I guess it got it open, and then it rifled through it. We had, like, steaks and, like, stuff like that, Mountain House meals, and just stuff like that. And then, like, after a few hours, it just stopped. And I was like, okay, that's weird. So we reverted back to our deployment. I was like, hey, I'll take, like, first watch. You can go to sleep for 2 hours. Then I'll go to sleep for 2 hours. And by then, the sun should be up.
Right.
He's like, it sounds good. So the next morning, we go out there, and it was my four-wheeler that he tipped over. And, dude, Jeff, when I tell you this cooler looked like something just shredded it. Just like somebody stuck its hands in it and just pried it open. And there was, like, the styrofoam from the cooler everywhere. All of our meat and water and stuff was everywhere. There wasn't any meat left. Like, the meat wrappers were everywhere from it just tearing through it.
Huh.
And we were, like, in muskeg, which is moss. And there was footprints. Like, you would see, like, it just walked up there, then you could see the deep imprints from the footprints in the muskeg. And it walked around the camp a couple times, I guess, feeling it out. Mm-hmm. And then that's when it smelled whatever was in our coolers, and it just destroyed the coolers. Ate what was in there, then just vominosed, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And with the snow, the tracks in the snow, like you said, there's indentations. It's probably not going to be very, very detailed, you know, as it's walking through that snow and being heavy like that. So you probably couldn't really get a good eye on what it was, right?
Say again?
So with the snow being deep, or however deep the snow
muskeg. It was muskeg, not snow.
What is muskeg?
Just really thick moss.
Okay. So there's really no kind of detail, or it's just like an indentation.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, really deep indentations. They're like 3 to 4 inches deep. I mean, that depending on what places. Like, I weighed 240 pounds. I probably weighed 220 at the time. But if you step in it, you'd sink too. But not as deep as this sank. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, it was just really deep indentations, and then, like, it just, I guess it ate our food and then walked away.
No kidding. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What was your friend's, your other, your buddy, what was his idea? Bear?
Yeah, we both thought it was bear.
Yeah.
And we had, we both have 300 Win Mags, which can kill pretty much anything on this planet.
Yeah.
And so he was like, man, if that bear comes at us, he's like, as long as we both hit that thing is going down. I was like, I don't know, bear, it sounds bigger than a bear, man. He's like, yeah, it does, but it must be a really big bear just following the caribou herds through. It's like, oh, shit, maybe. Yeah, that was another creepy encounter of the unknown, I guess you could say.
I'm sure. I mean, you're up in no man's land, and you've got this weird sounding creature walking around your campsite, and then you hear your four-wheeler get flipped and your cooler getting ravaged through.
Yeah.
Definitely an experience there.
And I would like to note that it stunk like terrible. Like, not as bad as a Dogman, but like it just stunk like piss and pneumonia.
Yeah.
Like the cleanest supplied pneumonia, or ammonia, not pneumonia. I'm sorry. And it was just bad. Smelled like trash, which I don't understand how they smell so bad when they just live in nature. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would like to think that was a Bigfoot.
Yeah, it sounds to me, like, I mean, I wasn't there. You didn't see it. I didn't see it. But to me, it sounds like a Bigfoot, especially. Did you smell the stink in your tent when you were in the tent, or not until you were out the next morning?
Oh, we smelled it in the tent.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then as soon, like, when we opened up the flap of the tent, even though it was gone for like 4 or 5 hours, however long, it still just stunk so bad.
Huh.
Yeah. It was bad.
Yeah.
And like you could see it just walked like down the other side of the valley, and then like after I wasn't gonna follow the footprints the whole way, but like we followed them for like half a mile, and then they just kept on going. I was like, I'm not following this thing. I was like, we don't have. I was like, whatever it was, they ate all of our food, and I fucking smashed our water and all sorts of stuff. I was like, so we don't have really enough supplies to be tracking this thing. He's like, yeah, you're right. So we just walked back up to our campsite, packed up the tent, flipped over this quad, then drove back to my truck. No food, no caribou.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That was one of the wildest experiences I've had close up with Sasquatch or Bigfoot, whatever you'd like to call them,
Right. So from there, you were how long were you up at Wainwright for?
I was up at Wainwright for 3 years.
Okay. And then you did your mountaineering up there, right? Is that the mountaineering school up there?
Yeah, BMMC, Basic Military Mountaineering School.
Yep.
I went. I failed. I can't tie knots.
Okay. But nobody talked, like, was there any kind of, like, hush hush about Bigfoot, Dogman, nothing up there, huh?
The more seasoned NCOs, like the more grizzled ones that's been up there for a while, that are like out, like that are hunters and fishers and stuff like that. Like they're like, be careful where you go. There's something other than bear out there. Like in the in briefing when you first get to the unit, and then you ask, like I raise my hand and ask. I'm like, well, what do you mean? They're like, don't worry about it. You'll know when you see it. I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah, that's it seems like our military,
Yeah.
Now off the topic of Bigfoot, Dogman, because obviously the channel and I'm fascinated with everything. Was there any kind of UAP UFO sightings up there while you were up there?
I saw them, but the people that I were with said that they were just the northern lights, the aurora borealis.
Yep.
Which, I mean, it totally could have been, because growing up in Ohio, you don't see that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But we were laid out underneath the stars one night. It wasn't winter yet, but this time up there in Alaska is when it starts to. Well, this time of year is when it starts to get really cold.
Yep.
Well, not really cold, but like below 40 every day. And we were just laid out underneath the stars, and I swear I just seen a shooting star going from my right to left towards my left-hand side. Then like circled back. Then it went past us again. Then like I got up. I was like watching it through the woods, and the thing just disappeared. I was like, okay, I mean, that was a weird shooting star, but whatever. Could have been.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, there's with your other mates there telling you that it's the aurora borealis. There's a big difference of any kind of object going through the sky and some green and wavy lights, you know, obviously if you've never even seen them in Ohio, but you can tell, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. I was like, there's no way that was just the Northern Lights, because
right.
they move like a ribbon, but like they don't move back and forth like that and then disappear.
Yeah, yeah.
And then one of my favorite things to do up there was just drive. Like, I put like thousands of miles on my truck within a couple months of me owning it when I first got it, because I would just, every time I'd get off work, I'd just hop in it and grab a pack of smokes, grab a energy drink, and just drive. And like I would see, like I drove to Denali, which was, I think it was an hour away from Wainwright, 2 hours away if I remember correctly. I'm just spitballing here. It's been years since I've been there, you know. But I was just driving out there, and then like I found a place to pull off to the side of the road and get out and stretch the legs, walk around for a little bit. Then I just seen it looked like a light just disappear into the mountain. And I was like, that's weird. And I was by Eielson Air Force Base.
Yeah.
I was like, huh, interesting.
What color light? Like just white or?
Yeah, it was like a white blue.
Okay.
If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
yeah, it was
interesting.
like a white blue.
And it just went into, I mean, like obviously we've talked for a little bit, so I know, you know, I more so than people listening right now, I felt you out, and you know, you can definitely tell like if it just went behind the mountain or, you know, into the mountain. So I'm assuming, you know, that must have been pretty interesting to see and baffling at the same time too.
Oh yeah, I was really confused. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I was like, that doesn't happen.
That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, seen a bunch of orbs and other stuff. Other than like UFO, and then the Bigfoot encounter, the barracks up there, they're really good. I'm not going to get into the paranormal aspect
Go ahead.
of that place.
I'd love to hear it. I'm sure everyone else would too. I mean, we're going to, if you don't mind.
No, I don't.
Well, shit, shoot.
But the barracks where my company was, I'm just going to say I was in 1-5, 1st Battalion, when I was up there. And the barracks, where my company was, like my company area of operation, AO, I lived in the barracks right above it, which, I mean, sucked because you get off work, and then if your NCOs were dicks, they'd come up there and haze you a little bit, but it's whatever, part of the game. But at night, real late at night, I've always been a night owl, always. I don't know why, ever since I've been a kid. But real late at night, you'd hear like heavy running and footfalls and just like thudding going down the hallway, and I'd peek my head out and there'd be no one there. I'm like, well, what the hell? And there was communal bathrooms.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, I'm up, might as well take a piss. And then like you'd go in the bathroom and I swear, you'd see something run out the other side, because there was 2 doors, because this hallway was long, but there was 2 doors. And every time I'd go in there, I swear I would see something fucking run out the corner of my eye out the other door. Like a shadow.
Yeah.
Every time. I was like, well, that's weird. I'd just go back to my room, whatever. And then CQ, which is 24-hour duty, you would just sit at a desk, and if somebody important walks into your AO, you'd just greet them, and they'd go around and inspect everything, make sure everything's good, and then check the armory, make sure the armory wasn't tampered with. Well, we had our armory, the alarm would go off every shift on CQ at the same time, 3:30 every morning. No matter who was on guard, no matter what. 3:30 every morning.
Huh.
And so they got tired of it, so MPs thought that it was the people on CQ doing it. And I was on CQ one day with my buddy Barrett. Well, not buddy, team leader at the time. I was on CQ with him, and then it went off, and the MP was sitting like right next to us. And I was like, "You see that?" He's like, "Yeah, you guys didn't move." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's been happening like every night." Then he went down there, and he said when he went down there, he saw a dark figure like hovering in the corner, and then just like phase in to the wall, and then disappear. I was like, "Well, that was creepy, man."
Yeah, yeah. And it's not the first time I've ever heard. Like, I've heard different things about the barracks at Wainwright being haunted too.
Oh yeah.
You know, like when you said the running down the halls, I've heard stories of that happening. You know, even back when it first opened up. You know, it was I guess it was pretty haunted too, which is weird because, you know, you're in the middle of the last frontier technically in America.
Yeah. I was warned not by like the in-processing brief, but like when I got to my company, they were like, "You're gonna hear weird stuff in the barracks. Ignore it." I was like, "What?" You know, like one of those. What do you mean? Like, elaborate more, please.
Yeah.
And so I had CQ a lot as a private because I was night owl and like nobody likes brand new privates. So it's whatever. Didn't hurt my feelings none. It was part of the job. But I was outside smoking, and I saw, like, I swear, Jeff, it walked out of the building. The doors didn't open at all. Like, there's two sets of doors because, like, there's an airlock type deal because it gets so cold there.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any of the door. Like, I was facing the other way, and our company building was behind us. I was facing the other way, and I didn't hear no doors close or anything. And then I heard, it was like somebody walking on the concrete behind me, and I turned around, and there was nobody there. I was like, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
So, like, I started looking around, and then the guy I was on with, I think his name was George. He was a corporal. He was a dickhead, so I just called him Corporal when I was a private. But he came out, he's like, "Hey, somebody just ran by the front door. Go see who it is." Because, like, at the CQ desk, if you look backwards, you can see out the back door. Then if you lean to your left, you could see out the front door. And he's like, "Hey, somebody just ran by the front door. Looked like they were holding a rifle." I was like, "Okay, Roger." So I hauled ass around the corner. Like, I like beeline to the edge of the building. And when I do that, I hear like heavy footfalls of somebody running. And then I like go to turn around the corner and surprise him, like try to like clothesline him or something.
Yeah.
Nothing was there. I was like, "What the hell?" So then I ran down the side of the building, and then I looked, and I seen it was a Vietnam-era style soldier with, like, his Alice pack and his, like, everything, like, Vietnam-era style, you know. Just run down the sidewalk. And then he just kept running, and I was like, huh. So I ran in there and told him, and he called the MPs, and they searched the area. No armory was missing any M4 or nothing. So I was like, that's weird. I was like, that's like the third or fourth time. I was like, I'm tired of this.
Yeah. Like, historically, like when you said Vietnam era, historically, there was, I think you and I had talked about it too, the airborne trained up there.
Mm-hmm.
So that wouldn't be a far-fetched, thing to see if paranormal wise, you know what I mean? It's not something that's not, out of the realm of a possibility of seeing some sort of, military Vietnam era personnel.
Yeah. It was really weird.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That is definitely, I've always thought Alaska, it's just a weird, beautiful state, but there's a lot of weird shit there.
Oh yeah, the weirdest beautiful state you'll ever see. That's what I tell my wife. I was like, if you ever want to, I was like, I want to move to Alaska. She's like, no, it's too cold. I'm like, all right, whatever. It's like, the woman's in charge, not me, so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was a suicide. One of my buddies, actually, he shot himself in the barracks while I was stationed there. I'll text you offline about it and everything.
Yeah,
but
let's not get too much into that.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Actually, a few of my buddies, but this one, like, I was pretty damn, like, I was in the next room when it happened. But after that, I don't know if his spirit was just hanging around and chilling or what, but, like, his roommate... Sorry, I'm outside. I just heard something in the woods crash. But, I don't like that. I'm going inside. I don't have my gun. But his roommate would swear that he would hear the guy, my buddy that shot himself, hear him, like, whisper and, like, talk to him, and, like, he'd see him and stuff. I was like, I don't know if that was just from, like, you seeing him, you know, shoot himself or what have you, or, like, his residual energy. I'm not spiritual or, like, any of that stuff, so right. I don't know. I was like, find God, find a priest, whatever you gotta do. I was like, I believe you. I'm not gonna go in and find out. You know?
Yeah. So from there, because you had told me something interesting, and I kind of wanted that to get mentioned too. After Wainwright, you were at Campbell, right?
Yep. Yeah. Then after my contract was up, I deployed while I was with Wainwright, so I re-enlisted while I was overseas. And then shortly after we got back, I, PCS'd Army slang for moving bases down to Fort Campbell. And while I was at Fort Campbell, all you did was just live in the field mainly.
Okay.
Like, I spent a majority of my time at Fort Campbell training. It was fun, but, it sucked ass because you're light infantry there and you had to carry all your shit. So you either learned how to pack light or you got strong. But, that's neither here nor there. I was pulling guard on, our brigade was going to JRTC, which is in Louisiana, for some 2 weeks of just pure awesome training.
Okay.
And me and two of my little soldiers, I'm going to call them Joeys because that's how the lower enlisted are talked to, me and two of my Joeys, we were sitting just guarding the main gate for all of our vehicles that were getting ready to get on railhead and get shipped out in Louisiana. And this gate that I've never seen opened, or these vehicles got in somehow. They were just blacked out SUVs. And they were driving through. They drove by us on this road, then took a left onto a dirt road that was going through a cornfield or a soybean field or something, And by the time that they were a ways out there, I wasn't going to follow them because blacked out SUVs normally mean secret squirrel shit in the military.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to follow them. And by the time I looked down to grab a cigarette, put it in my mouth and light it, then look up, there was nothing there but a dust cloud. I don't know if they went into... Well, there's a hill, I don't know if they went into the hill, because there was no road going up over the hill or around the hill. It just stopped right before the hill, like the farmer did it intentionally, because farmers have contracts to farm some parts of Fort Campbell. Okay. But they just disappeared into the hillside, and I was like, that's weird. And That was one of the first experiences. I'm not going to say supernatural or anything like that, but that was one of the first things I've seen there that I was like, well, that was odd. I mean, I'm new here, but maybe that happens all the time because Green Berets are stationed down there, and they do a bunch of cool stuff, you know.
Yeah, they were the when Dennis Martin disappeared, I believe they were the ones that were deployed to look for him from Campbell.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, and so I saw that, and I was like, all right, whatever. So carried on about our day, and then more vehicles came, and then there was a more heavy workload. So like my group of soldiers, it grew from me being in charge of these two soldiers guarding like all of our brigade's vehicles to another NCO and his two soldiers guarding as well, and we would split. Like he'd get 12 hours during the day, I'd get 12 hours at night. Because I've mentioned it before, I'm a night owl. I love the night. Right. And so we were all just, it was nighttime, I want to say 01:02 in the morning. I was sitting there smoking a cigarette, scrolling through Facebook or watching YouTube or something. My other soldier, he was in my front passenger seat, and we were like facing like the wood line. And at the corner of the wood line, like it kind of like abruptly stopped, and then that's where the cornfield started, you know? Yep. Or soybean field. I can't remember what was growing. And he like elbowed the shit out of me. I was like, what the hell was that for? He was like, look. And I was like, what the hell? I didn't have my headlights on. My truck wasn't running. Nothing. And there was two glowing eyes. I'm going to say eyes because I seen them blink. And they were just standing by a really big tree. Like, it looked like they were leaned around the tree. I was like, oh, that's weird. I was like, what the hell is that? He's like, I have no idea. I was like, reach under my back seat back there. I have a big spotlight because growing up hunting, you know, with all the spotlighting out to the tree stand and growing up on the farm and stuff like that, you know. Yeah. And I still had it, and he handed it to me, and I like peeked my head, well, my hand out the window, and I turned that light on. And when I did that, this thing like recoiled, like the light was hurting its eyes. Huh. And that's when I seen the two pointed dog ears. And then I seen like its hand, like you know when like you lean against a tree, like try to peek around it. Yep. That's when I seen his nails or claws or hands, whatever you want to call them. They were black as night and looked like they could destroy something. He wasn't nothing but 150 meters away, probably closer. But he was just sitting there staring at us, and like I could see him blinking. And then we just sat there. It felt like an eternity, just staring at each other. Then it must have got bored or something, and it stood all the way up. And when it stood all the way up, it was every bit of 8 foot tall. Could have been taller. I'm just going to judge 8 foot. I didn't go in the woods after it left and looked around because fuck all that. Right. And it just turned around and then walked back into the woods. It had a short stubby tail, then dog-like legs, and its hair was black. I was like, what the hell?
And the eye shine was what color?
Say again?
The eye shine, the eye color that you
saw? It was like an orange red. Okay. Yeah. Originally, when I first saw it, I thought it was a coyote, but then because coyotes are very rampant down there, but coyotes, their eye shine is like green. Yeah, almost like a deer kind of. Yeah, and when the eye shine showed up, well, not eye shine, just the eyes were glowing that orange red. I was like, huh. And that's when I, did all that. And it just walked away, man. like unbothered. Like I mean, I could see like it was kind of like sizing us up in my truck or something.
Right.
I don't know how long it was standing there staring at me and my soldiers, because I was buried in my phone, making sure that nobody was coming towards the gate that shouldn't be or anything, you know. And it just walked away.
Are you carrying live rounds at this point, or no? Not.
No, we were
so
unarmed
you're
guards.
technically, you know, if it wanted to, you're
Oh, yeah.
screwed.
Oh yeah, it could have shredded my truck.
Yeah.
At the time, I had a '05 Dodge 2500, and if it wanted to, it could just walk up to that truck and just rip it apart like a tin can. And thinking back on that, I was like, wow, we definitely could have died then.
Yeah.
If it really wanted to, it could have just sprinted how fast people say they move and just absolutely decimate us, and nobody would know until the morning when the other guys came to relieve us.
That's freaking creepy.
Yeah, I was very creeped out. After that, I kept my headlights on. I burned up a lot of diesel because I'd leave my truck running with my headlights shined on that freaking that wood line.
Yeah. Well, you had said you'd seen the blacked out Humvees go into... That wasn't the same field, was it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
It was. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Close to the hill where you imagine the Humvees disappeared in, or
no? So the hill was. It's hard to explain without actually showing it to you.
Yeah.
But so how I would park up where our vehicles were stored, I'd park like in the grass, and then the hill, the wood line was in front of me, and then the dirt road was kind of in front of my truck where I'd park, but it'd keep going to my right side.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then over there is where all the hills and stuff are.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's just interesting. I thought about it when you were saying soybean and cornfield, and I was like, I wonder if it's the same field.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
And then we were out training. It was November. It was pretty cold for being Kentucky in November. That was my first year being in Kentucky after being from Fort Wainwright, and so I was like, I mean, it's cold, but it's whatever. It's not Alaska -50 freeze your face off cold.
Right.
But that's besides the point. Well, I was leading our company on a movement contact. We had to move 10 clicks. Not that far, thinking about it. But we had to move 10 clicks, and I was leading the whole company. Me, single file line, just walking through the woods of Kentucky. I had my compass. I was following my azimuth and everything. And I had I had PVS 14s, another type of night vision.
Yeah.
But these ones didn't have the thermal overlays. It was just strictly night vision, just green. So I was walking, and then I stopped. We did all of our tactical huddle and stuff like that. Check the map, make sure we were still on course, like you're supposed to do.
Yep.
And I get out there and I start picking up the guys to start moving forward. And when I do that, I hear something like twig snapping and stuff like that. Sounds far off, but I'm like, 70 people are moving through the woods at night. No, most of these people have never stepped in the woods a day in their life. So, I mean, it's probably one of them just tripping or something. But then I heard a really big snap. It didn't sound intentional. It sounded like it was just whatever it was walking. It just walked by and just snapped a dead tree. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And then we keep walking while I keep leading. And I'd look at my compass, then I'd look up, and then, just keep walking like that for however long until you get to where you're going. And we get there, and having night vision is cool and weird because you have no depth perception.
Right.
Because it's only over one eye. At least the stuff that we had was only over 1 eye. I'm sure they have newer stuff now. But I saw something dart, like, right from my right to left. It was like 8 foot tall. Again, it had a tail, had dog legs, but it just moved so fast, Jeff. I couldn't get a good beat on or anything, and it just ran. And then you could hear it through the woods.
Damn.
And then that was it. I was like, huh. My first sergeant ran up to me. He's another hillbilly from the country. He's like, what was that? I was like, I believe that was a deer. I was like, a deer or a coyote? He's like, okay. He's like, I don't think that was a coyote, though. They're not that big. I was like, well, then it's probably a deer. I didn't get a good look on it. He's like, okay. So then we get to our movement contact. We do our whole little shoot the blanks, play laser tag with I forget what it's called, but the Army has like adult laser tag, you know? And we were doing a AAR afterwards, after everything gets done. And
now, what's AAR? Is this like part of navigation?
No, and after you do everything, like you get together, then you just talk.
Okay.
Like the Op 4, then we would talk and
like almost a debriefing, kind of like a casual debriefing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like a briefing. And they were like, "Hey, did you guys send like scouts or somebody around like an hour and a half ago? Because it took us a while to move 10 clicks into Kentucky woods at night." And we were like, no, we didn't send scouts for it or nothing. Why? They were like, well, we heard somebody walking around and running around, and then we seen like movement. I was like, no, it wasn't us. So they seen something too. So there was something out there with us on the training grounds.
Yeah, when you have more than one, it's kind of hard to dismiss at that point.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah, the whole area there. I've heard a lot of different navigational, military navigation training going kind of wrong. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That can go wrong very fast, especially I'm sure there's some vets out here that are like, oh, back in my day and whatever, but like that, to me, that was the most challenging terrain I've moved through besides the Muskeg when I was up in Alaska. Because there's just no room to move, and when animals or creatures that goes thud in the night that you don't see, they just move through that stuff so fluid and so smooth. In reality, they're probably just breaking brush,
Yeah.
Doing what animals do.
That's crazy. And yeah, the thing that I did want everyone to hear is that the blacked out Humvees, because that to me is so interesting. It's just like you're doing your job and boom, they're there 1 minute, gone the next. Just really interesting to me. But then to have a sighting in that same field at the same time is even crazier. Mm-hmm. So, and
like going back to the first sighting, like I did feel like that primal fear, like everybody else talks about.
Yeah.
Just that deep primal fear, like talking about it now is giving me goosebumps.
Yeah. You got him when we were talking about, I think when we were talking about Fort Campbell the first time when we were me and you talking.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just that deep primal fear and like dread. Oh God, it's terrible.
Yeah, I imagine. So then you get out of the military. Your life is not free and clear of cryptids and strangeness at that point, is it?
No, not at all. So I started at a limestone rock quarry. If anybody's from around Fort Campbell, they might know about it. But I'm not going to name names of the quarry that I worked at. But it's a decently sized quarry for that area where I lived and where I worked. It was in Christian County. There we go. I'll say Christian County, Kentucky. One of the bigger quarries by Fort Campbell. It's like 15 minutes down the road from Fort Campbell, Jeff. It's crazy how close it is, and I didn't know about it when I was in the Army until I got out and was looking for a job, and they called me. They're like, hey, one of our recruiters talked to you at the SFL TAP Center and said you need a job. I was like, I would love a job. Cool, sweet. Probably the easiest military transition everybody's ever made.
Right. And right there, in a place that you're familiar with, too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's why I was really happy about it, because I love Kentucky. No matter all the weird shit that I seen on Fort Campbell, around Fort Campbell, you know,
yep.
I love Kentucky. And so I worked there. I worked night shift maintenance. I was probably going to give away a bunch too. But I worked night shift maintenance. And I was there, oh man, I want to say 2-3 months before like the lead man would let me off on my own, and the foreman pork chop, they'd let me go with the other guy, Chicken, to go do our own thing. Well, before I joined the Army, I went to weld school. I didn't pursue it because I joined the military. And so I got better at welding. I got better at using a cutting torch. So then we used to keep our metal up on the hill. We called it the boneyard because like all the old pieces and parts that would break and stuff that we'd cut up and then throw up there, we would just keep them up there, you know. And we'd go up there because we kept our metal, and if there was something off there that we could salvage, we would. But I was up there one day, and the woods on the backside of this quarry, they weren't super thick, but they weren't super open at the same time, you know.
Okay.
I drove up there, and my service truck was a Ram 4500. It just had a flatbed on it with a welder and cutting torches and tools. That's it. And that will be valid to the story here soon. And I drove up there, and there's LED light bars all the way around it so I could see at night. And I drove up there to cut some metal because I needed it to patch like a chute where material runs and stuff, you know. And I got up there, and I got out the truck, and I turned on the headlamp on my hard hat. I just got a really bad feeling, like really bad, like worse than any firefight I've been in, you know, worse than seeing the Dogman on Fort Campbell. Like I felt like I was being hunted, like I was actual prey.
Okay.
And I was the only person by myself. I was the only one up there. I was by myself. I was like, well, I don't like this. And I called Pork Chop. I was like, hey, come up here with your big spotlight and just spotlight the woods for me. He's like, why? I was like, just please come do it, man. I was like, I'm begging you, just please come do it. He's like, all right, yeah, I'll be up there soon. And he comes tearing ass up there, and then he walks up to the side, like where all the metal stops, and then like it's kind of a drop off from where they'd push overburden back, like way back in the day, and they'd all just grew up in woods. And he walked up there, and all I heard him say was, oh my God. And then he turned around, and my light, I wish it was brighter, but his face looked like he seen the fucking devil.
Really?
And when he said, oh my God, it was like he just found a dead body, or the worst thing he's ever seen in his life. I was like, what? He's like, just get in your truck and go. I was like, okay. So I had to make a 3-point turn, and he was in a little F-150, so he just whipped around and left me up there again. I was like, oh, what the hell? So as I'm going, I had all the LEDs on all the way around this truck, and I seen a Dogman step off of this little hill, and it had a deer in its left hand, and it was like dragging it. And then it started chasing my truck, Jeff.
With the deer?
With the deer in its hand. And we got down by our mechanic shop, which was a little ways off the hill. And when we got by the mechanic shop, it like dropped the deer, like it was like burdened by it. And then it really started picking up. And then when we got down by the plant, it was like it wasn't a very big plant, but it was like, say, another 500-600 yards from the mechanic shop to the plant. When I drove around the plant, there was this pile, the riprap pile, that you could, if you stand up on, you can look over the plant. And I got down there, and Porkchop was down there. He had Monkey, the lead man, Puddin', and Chicken. He was all plenty up there on the hill. And then I guess he said he heard my truck. Then he heard like howling and growling and heavy breathing. And I pulled up. We called it. I'm not going to say what we called it.
Right.
But we pulled up to our little workshop. And then I was like, oh my, like just cussing, fucking freaking out. I was like, that thing just followed me out of the woods. Monkey's like, it followed you more than that. And then he pointed up there. And it was on the riprap pile. On its hands and back feet, I guess.
Okay.
And it was just staring down at us all. Just staring at us. Like we pissed it off or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, well. Monkey's like, hey, Marv. I was like, what's up? He's like, you live like 5 minutes away from here. I was like, uh-huh. He's like, so do you. I was like, oh, what are you getting at? He's like, go to your house, get your big rifle. I'm going to go to my house, and I'm going to get my big rifle. I was like, okay. I was like, what then? He's like, we're going to start carrying them into service trucks from now on.
Yeah, wow. That's
because of that reason. And every time that we'd go up there, we'd have 2 to 3 people with us. We'd have Porkchop, he'd be up there spotlighting. Then one guy would be torching. Then either myself or Monkey would be having the rifle, like pulling security like I would be in the military.
right.
Making sure this thing doesn't come out the woods and ambush us.
What did you ever ask him what, like, obviously we know what he saw, but did you ever ask him like what it was doing at that point when he walked up onto it?
He said it was like ripping the throat out of the deer with its hands.
Okay.
And like shoving its, like he said that I wish that truck had a camera or like would record, but he said that it like ripped, like it was like stuffing its whole arm down its freaking throat, like through its throat, because it like ripped its throat open, you know?
Yeah.
It's stuffing its arm down its throat, trying to get like at, I'm assuming the heart and everything.
Okay. Huh. Now, did he know? He obviously, I'm guessing, was from that area.
No, he was not.
Okay.
Funny story about that. He actually got hired out of California.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did he make mention of what it was? Did he give you a name of what it was, or
he just called it a walking wolf.
Huh. That's interesting. I say interesting because a couple years ago had a guy from Taylor, Mississippi, and that's all his family called them was walking wolves.
Yep. And then the lead man, Monkey, he grew up in that area. And LBL, coincidentally, is 45 minutes from Christian County, where this rock quarry is I used to work at.
Okay.
He called it the LBL Beast. I know you've heard about it. You covered it. You've talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he called it the LBL Beast is here. I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah. I always thought that was kind of funny because there's more than one. You know, it's just, that's the media, or the TV shows that don't know any better. You know.
Yep.
So that's pretty freaking scary. That's
yep.
Wow.
And then like we were maintenance there, and if something major broke, our shift was 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. I can maybe count on my one hand the amount of times I got out there at 1 a.m. because we would have to stay over till like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Right.
Or sometimes 7 or 8 in the morning to fix stuff. And like as the night would get on, like you would hear coyotes, and then it just sounded like they're just running for their life.
Yeah.
And then one night we were up there. I was pulling guard for Chicken as he was cutting this hunk of steel, and then it just sounded like something grabbed this coyote and did the most heinous fucking things to it, Jeff. Oh man, it was a terrible sound. It sounded like this freaking coyote was getting ripped apart limb from limb. And then the older guys that has worked there, there's this old guy. His name was Buggy, Speed Buggy, because he was a loader operator. Okay. From day one, he was a loader operator. He was just really fast at it. That's why they call him Speed Buggy. He said whenever he would get there before, like if we would leave, there would be, like the trash can would be tipped over up there by like our employee building. He's like, there'd be like claw marks on the doors and stuff like that. And then he said when he'd get there, whenever they'd start the plane up at 5, which is very rarely, but normally they start at 6, he'd drive up on the hill to get to where the rock would go, where he would need to load vehicles, load dump trucks, and he would watch the wood line, and he said he would always see the walking wolf staring at him. I was like, oh, and I watched your channel then. Yeah. You know, I found your channel like after I started looking into the LBL beast and walking wolves and stuff like that. I thought they were just werewolves. Yeah, but boy, was I wrong.
Man, that's intense.
Yeah, he said there's always been some sort of cryptid always around the rock quarry. I was like, why? He's like, I don't know. It attracts them. And then that one fellow that you had on there talking about limestone deposits and stuff like that.
Steph, the really smart dude?
Yes.
Yep.
It was a limestone quarry. So I was like, huh.
Yeah, and limestone has a paranormal kind of draw to it for some reason as well. That's very interesting. That's crazy.
And on top of a Dogman run around, on top of the Dogman running around the quarry on our asphalt plant, it was literally across the road. Like if you just left our plant and then drove across the road, that's where the asphalt plant was too. Mm-hmm. There's an Indian burial ground back there. Paranormal stuff. Yeah. We're back on paranormal after cryptid stuff. Because I have a bunch of encounters of both, sadly. I don't know if I'm gifted or cursed or what. But there's an Indian burial ground back there, and they were just starting to dig up. I think Snake was his nickname. Snake said they were starting to push with the dozer so they could get more land to make the plant bigger. And he said as soon as they dropped that blade to start to push, the bulldozer shut off. The cranes that they had there because it was during a shutdown, the cranes they had there, just everything shut off at that asphalt plant. So I don't know how I didn't see it personally.
Right.
But he wasn't known to bullshit you or tell lies.
Yeah, that's kind of that right there does not sound like a made up story. You can tell a made up story like I saw this or that. Like that's to me seems not far fetched, but awful large to not be real. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, huh? That's. And especially on an Indian burial ground, we've all heard the lore around them. So definitely.
Yeah. Yep. And then, after that, then they brought mechanics out there and everything and said that, like, electricians to check the wiring at the plant to make sure everything was still good. Like, diesel mechanics and all these people would like to see what this equipment just shut off. And they said the batteries just died in the equipment. Then they said the transformers blew at the plant. I was like, well, could they hit an underground line that they didn't know was there for the plant?
Right.
Like, no, there's nothing back there. I was like, oh, I don't know then.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to think rationally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's crazy. That is definitely creepy. Um, you emailed the other day, the one that put me and you in back into contact again, 100% to get this interview done. Your brother had something happen, or is that email that you want to share that?
Uh, did I? Well, my brother was with me whenever like we'd go out to the pig pens and stuff.
Okay.
I'm looking back on them right now. Hold on.
You had mentioned your brother in one of them. I remember that. Maybe it was talking about the pig pen.
It might have been. No. Ah, I mean, my brother, like he was my stepbrother, but I called him my brother because I knew him since forever. This happened before, like he officially came into my life, I guess. But like my family's messed up. I have a dunkle.
Okay.
My stepdad is my uncle technically.
Okay.
But so I knew him, but he said that he was in his tree stand. And he used to live in Pennsylvania in the Pocono Mountains.
All right. Yeah.
And he said he was out there hunting, and then he just heard like a roar, and then deep huffs, and then like just something getting tore up, then growling, and then just it sounds like something was getting destroyed. And he said that he sat in his tree stand from I think he said like he got out there at 5 o'clock, and then he said he didn't leave that tree stand till 12 o'clock, like noon, because he didn't want to move. Like he missed work that day because he didn't want to move because of what he heard. I was like, well, did you see anything? He's like, no, I didn't see anything, but I heard something getting tore up that didn't sound like a dog or a coyote, or I know bears are more prevalent in Poconos than they are in Ohio.
Right. Yeah.
He's like, it didn't sound like a bear. He said it just sounded like something big was getting tore up by something else big. He said you could hear like blows of fists, like. Wow. I mean, that's a bad example of the wording, but like,
right, yeah.
It's just thuds against like heavy chests, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't.
Bone
I
and
couldn't tell
muscle.
you. Say again.
Like heavy fists against bone and muscle and stuff like that. Body.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then looking back on it now, since I mean I don't know a lot, but I know more than I did back then. Looking back on it, I was like, well, that sounds like a Sasquatch and a Dogman were duking it out to see who's top dog.
Right, or two Sasquatches.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
It was insane. So, and then that I worked at that Quarry for a year and a half. We continued to see paranormal stuff. Like you'd be working on something, and then you'd hear footsteps behind you, footfalls, or you'd see somebody, or you'd hear something. You know, just stuff like that. On top of the Dogman lurking around.
Yes, that's insane. That is insane.
I don't know. You might be able to tell me, but I don't know if they migrate.
Some people say they do. I know Dark Waters and I have had conversations about them migrating. I think I think they move. My own theory is, and maybe you can call it migration, but when I think of migration, I think of animals traveling from, the north to the south, to stay with the warmth, like Canadian geese. But if something's moving following the food source, that can technically be migration. I view it like Native Americans, when different tribes of Native Americans would, the teepee perfect example. They would break down their teepee and drag the teepee behind them and move to a different location because the food and water and everything else is more abundant in that area. I think they do that. I don't necessarily believe that they travel south for the winter. We're talking about a creature that's hairy. It's got hair. They've been spotted in the winter. They've been spotted in cold areas. I think they more or less move where food is more abundantly. Or if something else, something even larger is in that area and drives them out of that area. I'm not an expert on this. It's just my own kind of theory. And, Dark Waters believes that they do travel for fouling food, but that they tend to go when it gets a little chillier somewhere else where it's a little warmer. But I don't buy that. You know what I mean? Because they're designed to live in
harsh environments,
right? But once again, it's theory. It's a pseudoscience, and it's a science based on theory. So I mean, who's right, who's wrong? You can't tell. So it's whatever theory fits your puzzle at that point. You know what I mean? So someday I might agree with James. But at this point, and for the longest time, I haven't. I mean, there's a lot of things I do agree with him. On these things, but
that's what I'm kind of getting at. Because during wintertime, like there would still be, like we'd still see him or her. I never seen more than, it might have been two different ones because they kind of had like, one had gray coloration on its chest area, then the other one just had like white.
Yeah.
Like we would see less and less of them during the winter, but they were still present.
Yeah.
But not as present as they were during like fall and springtime and summertime.
Right. Yeah, that's a hard one for anyone to really.
Yeah.
It's something you can't say without a solid fact to it. It's who knows. I mean, I could see Bigfoot doing it, migrating to a warmer environment better than Dogman, but who knows really. I just think they go with the food, and obviously in Kentucky, in that area, there's abundant food there. So it's probably the reason. What were you saying?
Going back to when I'm just gonna call it a he.
Yeah.
Because maybe it was hyper aggressive because it was the male of the area or something. But I texted. We didn't go up there after he chased me down. We just chilled down there at the plant.
Yeah.
And did what we could without going back up there on the hill. And when that next day, I was friends with the guys on day shift. I texted the mechanic. I was like, hey, up there by your shop, let me know if you see blood or anything like drag marks. He's like, why? I was like, just curious, let me know. He's like, okay. Because myself and Porkchop got chased out of there.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be like a hyper realistic hallucination. I want like confirmation from somebody to see blood and drag marks and stuff.
Right.
So he texted me. He's like, yeah, there's drag marks. He's like, and there's like a pool of blood. I was like, okay, just wondering. He's like, well, I was like, I'll let you know. And I see you tomorrow. And I went in there and I told him what I saw. He's like, oh, you seen him? I was like, what do you mean I seen him? He's like, when I come in early, because he was contracted out, but he just stayed there as the diesel mechanic for the loaders and haul trucks and stuff. He said, when I come in here super early in the morning, he's like, I come into the shop, and whatever equipment's in the shop, I keep the doors closed. And then normally whenever I drive up here, I see him running from the left-hand side of the boneyard to the right side, down into the woods, and then it just stays over there. So I don't know if they had a nest or den or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, maybe it's just comfortable there. Who knows? That's interesting, though. It's interesting that they're, like you said, that whole quarry, for some reason they have an attraction to certain things, quarries, cemeteries, burial grounds, any kind of, and I've always found that fascinating as well. And then when Steph, like you had mentioned, Steph, when he really pointed the kind of lights at these, quarries. There's one in Canada. His first kind of experience was at, I believe, another quarry up there. And this creature, not a dogman, just something that he had never seen before or never since, attacked everyone there, and was destroying the sheds and stuff and work buildings and stuff like that. So, these things, all of them, they for some reason there's some kind of draw, and I think like with the limestone, I think you spot on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm not a. What the hell is it? The person that studies rocks.
Geologist.
A what?
Geologist.
Yeah, that's the word. I'm sorry.
Me neither.
Yeah, I'm not a geologist, but like from what I've learned in school is that limestone is just decayed matter fossilized, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, paranormal background. When I went to the Conjuring house with my daughter, they were talking. I had asked the question to the owner. Has there been any speculation on what the cause of the draw of the paranormal activity? And obviously the King Philip's War was there. But she said that it's literally a limestone, kind of like a limestone well, a well of water above or below all this limestone. And that for some reason attracts negative energy or just energy, and I always found that interesting too. So granite as well. People say granite and quartz and stuff like that, and, but I don't think we really, it's just all theory. There's no expert in this at all. It's just my idea is just as good as yours. Your idea is just as good as the next. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, definitely limestone.
Yeah.
One big one, because we moved up here back from Kentucky. The old lady wanted to come back home. I no longer speak to anybody in my family. So I was fixing to stay down there in Kentucky for the rest of my life. Raise the kids,
Right.
I loved it down there, besides the Dogman. I didn't like that. But I started working for a company, and we go out to active mine sites, and we work on stuff. We don't work at that specific quarry,
right?
But we're contracted out to go do work there. Then some of these quarries, this other fella, Ruby, we were driving to Pennsylvania after I first started. This quarry was in the middle of nowhere. You had to take a back road on another back road to get there. And he was like, "Oh my God, do you see that?" And this massive dog, it was walking on all fours, but you could tell it was weird because you could see its hands, every time that it'd pick its paw or hand or claw, whatever, raccoon hands.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like. Every time it lift its hand off the ground, you could see its fingers relax. Then every time it set them back down, you'd see them flex out again. And this thing, it walked unbothered by us in this big service truck. it walked from out of this cornfield, across this ditch, over the road, then up into the woods. Paid us no mind.
Huh.
This one was brown. It had a bob tail, and it had the pointed ears. That was the first time and only time I've seen a Dogman since I've been back in Ohio.
Yeah, that's definitely
And
something.
we weren't even in Ohio. We were in Pennsylvania when it happened. So he was like, "What was that?" I was like, "Bear." I was like, "I think it was a bear." He's like, "That was no freaking bear." He grew up hunting in the woods and his parents had a farm and stuff growing up. He's like, "I think that was a Sasquatch." I was like, "No, I don't think that was a Sasquatch, man." He's like, "Well, what do you think it is?" And then I pointed him in the direction of your channel, and he watched the video, and it was that one. You use it sometimes for like the background of your narrating stories, Jeff.
Yeah.
It was that Dogman hearing like from behind a tree. It's jet black.
Oh yeah, where it's just peering out from behind it. Yep.
I showed him that. He's like, "That's exactly what it was." I was like, "Well, you just seen a Dogman." He's like, "That's what those are?" I was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And then as we were working, we were talking. I was like, "Oh, okay. Okay, I understand where you're coming from now, boss." Like, you've seen some shit growing up too.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. I like that. The unbothered. That's very interesting. Just like in the description of its hands is very. I could literally, as you were talking about it, I'm picturing it walking down this kind of like dirt road, just walking, ignoring everything, and just focused on its own self.
Mm-hmm. Just unbothered.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. We're coming up on about an hour and a half, Marv. Is there anything else you'd like to share quickly before we end the interview?
Ever since I've encountered these things, especially the ones in Kentucky, I haven't gone hunting ever since. I don't know if it's because I'm afraid to encounter one while I'm in the woods again, but I will not go hunting anymore.
Yeah, that's, most people, I've literally talked to a lot of people, and there's people that are diehard hunters, that were diehard hunters, that won't go in the woods anymore, which I can't blame them. And then there's those folks that are still going out because they believe the fact that, I saw it once, I'm not going to see it again. I think it's, some people have people have talked about this, where there's like a luck of the draw, let's say, or there is some sort of reason why certain people have multiple experiences, and I can't blame you for not wanting to go out into the woods, especially after all of your experiences up in Wainwright, then Campbell, and then especially at the quarries. But it's definitely something that will change your whole perspective on hunting and fishing, for that matter. I mean, shit, you're out in the woods anywhere by yourself, or even with a friend or buddy, you're just not going to want to go back out. I can understand that completely.
Like, and it sucks. It does, because I grew up in the woods, as we were talking about before we started the interview. I grew up in the woods, hunting, fishing, just doing normal country kid shit. And my son, my oldest son, he really wants to go, and I was like, I don't hunt anymore, buddy.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can understand that. I often wonder, my dad grew up hunting, and was in Vietnam, saw some shit over there, did his fair share of shooting, and but when I think the last time he hunted was 20-30 years ago, and he just never he sold all his guns. Sold everything. Never went back in the woods. I've asked him if he's seen anything. He's shared some strange things with me, but I know there's stuff that he's holding back. So it's definitely not out of the realm of, a natural kind of reaction to seeing these things. So but
it's weird. Seeing these things have definitely opened my eyes on stuff that I probably wouldn't have picked up on before I've learned about them.
When you had the blinders on?
Yeah, when I had the blinders on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then where I work at now, we have a shop and we just keep mining equipment up on the hill next to deep woods. Again, I don't know what it is with places I live in or work by, but it's always deep woods. And I'll be up there and I'll be just working on something, then I just stop and I just listen. I just stop and listen for a little bit.
Yeah.
Make sure I hear animals and birds and everything like that, Because every time that I had any of my encounters, everything went dead silent, just quiet. There was still wind. I don't understand how people say there's no wind.
Yeah.
That's kind of silly to me. That's just my thought, though.
No, I understand, yeah.
But, everything went dead silent. No crickets, birds, nothing.
Yeah, that's the Oz effect or whatever it's called, I believe. So that's definitely, when you hear that, it's time to leave,
Mm-hmm. That's what I told my kids. We went walking in one of the parks over where I live at now. And there's a wooded part, and they're like, "Come on, Dad, let's go." I was like, "All right." And I looked at them all. I mean, they're 8, 5, 3, and then I didn't take the baby. He stayed home with Mama. But I looked at them. I was like, if you hear nothing in the woods, run as fast as you can back to my truck. I will be with you guys. Don't worry. Like, what do you mean? I was like, just do as I say, please.
Yeah.
And then I can't explain it to them now because they'll be terrified of the woods, and I don't want that. I want them to be, out in the woods just doing crazy shit like when we were kids.
Yeah, absolutely. That's beneficial, but once these things are out there, it really does change you.
Yeah.
But you can't, like we were talking, the stuff that's occurred where Tom Messick disappeared, I still go there. I still get really bad feelings, but when it goes dead silent, I will, really, that's when I start paying attention around my surroundings immediately. And, so it's beneficial to teach your kids that too. So definitely.
Yeah.
But we're coming up on time, brother. Say bye to everybody for me, and I'll talk to you for a little bit after the interview.
All righty, man. It was nice sharing my encounters with everybody. They're not as exciting or exhilarating as some of them that I've heard. But, man, once you experience one of these creatures or both of them, it's just life-changing. It sounds cheesy, but it's life-changing.
It is.
Just stay safe and hyper-vigilant whenever you're in woods.
Absolutely. And, once again, I think all experiences are a learning lesson. And I've said it to you before the interview. I believe that I've heard people say my experience isn't like this experience, but then they share their experience and it's got you on the edge of your seats. Yours had me, and there's all experiences are powerful regardless of what anyone really thinks, because we're seeing something that we're told doesn't exist from the time we were little kids. Monsters don't exist. That's bullshit. They exist. So all experiences are powerful. And, Marv, thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking some time out of your day. And it was awesome. I'll talk to you in a few seconds. All right, brother?
Yeah,
All right.
anytime.
All right, folks. So, an amazing interview. Marv, super nice guy. I had a blast talking with him. And I'm just glad that we finally got to connect, because I remember in a live stream, he wanted to share experiences back when my dad was in the hospital. And, at that point, my life was just kind of crazy. And, things happen. We finally were able to connect, finally able to share his experiences so he could get them out. And I hope you guys enjoyed them as much as I enjoyed sharing them with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that helps this channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and our friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.